Alright guys, we're going back in time to 5th grade, 4th grade, whatever grade you did long division. We're going to, without using a calculator, divide and then write any remainder as a fraction. So to do long division, again, you figure out, does 22 go into 7 at all? No times, because 7 is smaller. 22 goes into 75 though, 3 times, and 3 times 22 is 66. And then we would subtract what is remaining, and you should get a 9. Then you bring down the next piece, and does 22 go into 94? Yes, it does. It goes into it 4 times, because that gives you an 88. If you did 5, you'd go over, which we do not want to do. Well, then you subtract, and you get a 6. Then you bring the 3 all the way down. 22 only goes into 63 twice, because the third time you go to 66, so you go over. And finally, when you subtract, you get 19. And that's your remainder. So normally we'd used to write it like that, but how we would write this is 342 plus there's 19 out of the 22 still remaining. Alright, so let's try that with polynomials. I think it's actually easier with polynomials because you're just looking for the same thing you have above for the first term. So let's look at this. The outside piece is the piece you're dividing by. So this, and then underneath it you put these. I'm going to put a placeholder for x to the third just because I know there probably will be x to the third terms. And it's easier for me to have that down there. So all you have to do is, I want an x to the fourth. I have an x squared. What do I need to multiply x squared by to get x to the fourth? And hopefully you guys realize I just need another x squared. So then you multiply this to everything here and put the answer underneath. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth, because remember we're subtracting. X squared times negative x is a negative x cubed. X squared times 1 is an x squared. And now we subtract. The whole purpose is these now go away. Be careful here. 0 minus a negative is a positive x cubed. 2 minus 1 is a positive x squared. And then we bring down the other pieces. You can bring everything down right now if you want. It doesn't matter. And then we repeat the process now with x cubed. We're now here. I want to make this an x cubed, and I have an x squared. So I need to multiply this polynomial by x, because x times x squared gives me x cubed, and then they'll cancel. But you have to also multiply it to the other two pieces. So we subtract. Those go away. Be careful here. X squared minus a negative is a plus, so we have plus 2x squared. Negative x minus x is a minus 2x. And then 5 minus 0 is positive 5. Alright, so the last step now is I need a 2x squared. I have an x squared, which means I just need to multiply that thing by 2. 2 times x squared gives me the 2x squared. 2 times negative 1 is a negative 2x. 2 times 1 is a positive 2. Again, I'm subtracting. Those go away, and negative 2 minus a negative is positive. Those go away. 5 minus 2 is 3. So that is my remainder. So my final answer is what you have on top here. We would write the final answer when we divide it is x squared plus x plus 2. And then plus the remainder of 3, which was not divisible by x squared minus x plus 1. So we leave it like that. Okay. So we're going to do it one more time. Actually, we're going to, just one more time. So the outside piece, I'm going to go kind of quickly here, because I think you guys get the idea. And if you guys want to pause the video and try it yourself, you can do that now. So, we need a negative x cubed, and we have a positive x squared, so I need to multiply by negative x. Negative x times x squared is negative x cubed. Negative x times negative 1 is a positive x. We're subtracting. Oh, and I put this in the wrong spot. You want to line up the like pieces. This is a negative, it's a positive x, so we go there. Negative plus is 0. 2 minus 0 is we have a 2x squared. Negative 2 minus another one is a negative 3x. 3 minus 0 is plus 3. Okay, then we keep going. We need to get a 2x squared, and we have an x squared, so we just say plus 2. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. We subtract. That goes away. Negative 3x we are left with, and the 3 minus negative 2 is a positive 5. Now you know you have a remainder if the power of the x is less than the thing you're dividing by. We don't have anything that can go into this now. We basically got a constant up on top here. That kind of signifies the end. So this is your whole remainder. So my final answer is negative x plus 2 plus a negative 3x plus 5 over what we divided by, which was x squared minus 1. Okay, so that's long division. Now we're going to do synthetic division, which we use to divide a polynomial by a binomial. But the binomial has to have just this form x minus k. So it's basically like your zeros or your factors. So if you set this equal to 0, the k value would be negative 4. Or your 0 would be 3. And that's the number you're going to divide by. So let's go through the process of synthetic division slowly for the first one. The 0 here, or the k value, is equal to negative 2. So I put that down first, and I make a bracket that looks like this now. I put my coefficients. Make sure that you have them in descending order and there's no missing ones. If there's a missing one, you have to put a 0. And then here's how you start. You're adding down. So 1 plus 0 is 1. Then you take this number and multiply it to that number, and you get negative 2. That goes into the next slot. So I get a negative 2. I add that down. Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. And then you do the exact same process with the negative 3 to the negative 2. You multiply and put that number right here. That's a positive 6. Add down, you get a 4. You get negative 8 when you do it, and you get a 0. This last number is always the remainder. And since for synthetic division you're always dividing by a power of 1 for x, the first number now becomes an x squared. Because think about it, it was an x cubed. We're dividing by an x. X cubed divided by x gives you an x squared. So that means my final answer is x squared, 1x squared, minus 3x, I'm just using these numbers here, plus 4, and there's no remainder. Okay? Alright, let's do a couple others. So the 0 here is negative 4. So negative 4. And again, you need a placeholder. There's the x squared place, there's the x place, there's the number place. Bring the 1 down. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Add that down. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Bring that down. Again, I box that off because I know that's the remainder. We started with an x squared, which means that these numbers go down a power. So the first one is just 1x minus 4, and then plus the remainder of 26 over x plus 4, because that's what we divided by. And that's the final answer. Again, key for that one, make sure you have the placeholder. The k is negative 1 for this one. So I have 10, 5, 4. That's for fourth, third, second. I need x, so that's 0, and then negative 9. Again, don't forget that placeholder, and then you can begin. And sure enough, on this one, you get a remainder of 0. That's really nice. Again, x to the fourth, you're dividing by 1x. This first piece is now 10x cubed. This is now minus 5x squared. This is a plus a 9x, and this is a minus 9. And that's the final answer. Again, notice how on all of these we're dividing by just a constant here. So let's do one more to finish it up. This is a 4. Because remember, it's whatever the 0 is. 1, negative 3, negative 7, and 6. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 plus negative 3 is positive 1. 4, negative 3, negative 12, negative 6. So, the final answer for here is x squared plus x minus 3 plus a negative 6 over x minus 4. Alright. And that is how you do synthetic division Again, it has to be divided by that piece in order to do it. Just an x with a number.